Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and we are going to knock down my Netgalley. If you are watching this, you have been a part of my journey, or you're just joining with me as I try to read down some of my Netgalley arcs. Your girl had a challenge last year that she was at 41%, and then she had high expectations to get to 60. Well, I was doing well until I started to get ahead of myself and started to download everything. The read now button is not your friend. Let me just say that now. I am back down. I think I'm at 56%. The goal is still 60. Actually, I think I might have bumped it up to 70. Now, that's still ambitious given the fact that I'm at 56%, but we are going to try to tackle a few of my arcs now. I have started reading This Could Be Forever by Ebony Liddell. I am 50% of the way through, and Ebony Liddell is that girl. If you don't know her, she is a YA queen. Now, this may only be her second book. This is her sophomore book, but she is coming with the hits. Love Radio was her debut novel, and it was a 5-star read. And right now, This Could Be Forever is tracking to be the same. Now, let me tell you, This Could Be Forever is an interesting story because it centers two young adults that are on their way to freshman year of college at the University of Maryland. Our female main character, Deja, she comes from a southern town in South Carolina. She has a really big family. And she is the first to kind of venture off and leave to go to college. Now, her older sister, Diamond, went to college. She only lasted a year before she came back to move home. And I don't think that she went that far. This is an entire adventure experience for Deja as well as her family. Because they are so close-knit, they are struggling as well as she is struggling to find her place in Maryland. This is a big city. And so she's trying to get accustomed, and she is going to a summer program where she is able to do early entry, get a little bit of a lay of the land. And there she meets our male main character, Raja. Now, Raja is traditionally from the DMV area. So he is part of a tattoo shop, which is how he runs into Deja. Now, family is from Nepal, and he is trying to find his way in the world as well, because in his custom and in his culture, his family does not necessarily like them to date outside their race. So this conversation about Ebony and Raja being a potential couple is going to be an issue. In addition, they do not want him to be working at the tattoo shop, but they allow him to spend a little bit of time there, not knowing that this is what he plans to make his career. His agreement with his father was, if you go to college, we will pay for it. However, you need to become an engineer. Typical with a lot of cultures outside of America, you may see that your preferred professions are doctor, lawyer, engineer. Really, that's about it. Maybe a professor. Outside of that, you're wasting your time. And so Raja is struggling because he really wants to be his own person. He wants to venture out. He wants to pursue his passion, and he wants to pursue the love interest, Deja. However, in his custom, he is supposed to have an arranged marriage, and his family is already working on him and his sisters, unbeknownst to them. And so this has a really good setting because I like the fact that we are, one, getting exposed to a lot of different cultural aspects, right? We get to see the Southern good girl breaking away from her family and really trying to find herself. But we also get the young man who comes from this rich culture but wants to Americanize himself and really to find his way and his footing. And he has to battle. Both of them are battling with their families to be accepted and to be loved for who they are, not who their parents expect them to be. And to me, this is really a topic for young adults to explore, because a lot of the times parents put all of their hopes and dreams and aspirations onto their children, not realizing their children are complete human beings that have hopes and dreams and aspirations for themselves. And your job is not necessarily to dictate their pathway, but to guide them and to give them the love and reinforcement. Parents always say you could be whatever you want, but really they mean you could be whatever I want you to be. And I'm loving that they are experiencing this together and they know it's on both of their sides, but they find the allies within their family to uplift them and to encourage them. Raja has a sister who really is his older sister and should be experiencing some of these things before him, but he takes it upon himself to kind of blaze a pathway for him and for her, knowing that she is going to get the brunt of it before he does. And so he tries to take that on. And he has his female cousins who are so in love with him and adore him and want him to succeed, but also know that whatever pathway he sets will also be a doorway for them to enter as well. And that is his community. And he brings Deja into that community as well. Now, Deja has her older sister. And again, her older sister is different from her, but always backs and support her. Her older sister attempted, and she didn't necessarily make the moves that she wanted to make, but she sees that Deja has that ability. And I just love that family dynamic. I am very excited because it's such a vivid and imagery writing. I love that Raja is a hopeless romantic. He falls first and he falls hard for Deja. He wants to take her out on dates. He gifts her a tattoo and he's like, I just want to be able to, gift this to you before even knowing that it was a congratulatory present for her. She finds comfort in him. And when she knows no one else and she's locked out, she goes to meet with him. So this story is so beautiful. I can't wait to see where the rubber hits the road when they get to bring each other to their family, because they've agreed to explore this and also face their challenges head on. So I am so excited to see what this brings, and I'll come back to you with my final thoughts. I also have another arc that I'm reading. I'm about 30% of the way into All Superheroes Need PR by Elizabeth Stevens, and let me tell you, the vibes are immaculate. I am loving being in the space with Elizabeth Stevens. If this is your first time watching me, or if you've watched a number of videos, I stand for Elizabeth Stevens. Her comedy and my comedy match. She always writes the female main characters to where I resonate with them heavy, and this one is no exception. Our female main character, Vanessa, I resonate with her a little too much in this story because she has a little bit of anxiety. Well, no, she has a lot of anxiety and she has PTSD. Now, I don't have PTSD, but when it comes to reading books with anxiety representation, I start to get anxious reading it. That is where I want you all to know. If you have anxiety, you may not want to read this, or take caution when reading this, because while it is very good, it is very real representation. Vanessa is going through some things in this book, and mainly it relates to the fact that she owns a PR company and the spotlight is now on her because she has a bid to work with a superhero that they're trying to get on the good guys team. Now, his name is Roland. To the rest of the world, he is known as Pyro. Now, he has not chosen a side. The heroes want him and the villains want him. So at this point, it is up to everyone to say, okay, this is what I can offer you if you join my team. And that really is Vanessa's job. So she has been contracted out to say, if you go with the good guys, I'll give you 10 years contracts. I will make sure to rebrand your image. You will love it over here, and we'll make it to where you are the leader of this particular camp. Now, he's not necessarily sold until he walks in and he sees her. Now, their first interaction is pure chaos and calamity. Because Vanessa is so anxious, she suffers with the presentation. She goes in and she makes a mess. Everybody is on the floor. Coffee is spilt. And he comes in and he's like, I want her out of here. Now, little does she know, the reason why he's all up in arms and he's upset is not because she is making a fool of herself. It is because he is starting to feel feelings that he has never experienced. Now, again, he is an alien to this planet. He has come and he has no experience with his childhood. All of the superheroes and the villains have landed on this planet and have no recollection of their past. They were poked and prodded by the government, which seems very realistic. And because they were poked and prodded, they were given to foster families. Now, We don't know much about his foster family, but I'm assuming that he did not get the warm and fuzzies from them. And this is the first time he is experiencing those feelings. And he's like, I want nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with her. Get her out of here. Until she leaves the room and he's like, wait a minute. I think my heart just left right along with her. I must follow her. Then what winds up happening is he follows her to a bar and he sees that this man is inappropriately touching her. And in his mind, he's already made it resolute, like, this is my wife. Like, we're together. I have never found my person, and now she is my person, and I must protect her. So this is definitely giving touch her and you're out of there vibes, because she is being inappropriately touched and she does not want it. You can see that she's clamming up. You can see that she is in her own mind and her own thoughts. So she doesn't really realize what's going on until Roland comes in and he's like, why was a dead man touching you? And she finally comes to him like, what are you talking about, a dead man? That man is laying on the floor, passed out cold, because Roland said, you don't touch what's mine. I'm putting you 6 feet under. And the only reason why you're not getting daisies and dirt pushed on you is because there are people around. Now, I love that type of energy. Yes, give me a little bit of stalker vibes. Give me a little bit of toucher and you're out of here, and I am set. Elizabeth knows what she is doing. Now, again, I told you that he sees her as his wife, but, you know, we don't do that here. In the United States, we're like, no, bro. It's freedom of choice, and she hasn't chosen you. Calm down. However, he's like, oh, if you agree to this Lois Lane clause, which means that we're together, fake or real, however you want to deal, I will sign on to be with the good guys. And she's like, this is the biggest contract of my life. I can stick it out for 4 years, even though this is a 10-year contract. And they negotiate a little bit. And what he's like, regardless if it's 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, we're together. And that's the energy that I'm getting from here. I know that this man goes feral for her. Like, anytime she looks the least bit disturbed, because he now knows that she has anxiety, and he knows that she doesn't like the spotlight. He's like, by nature, your job requires you to be in these spaces. However, I'm your protector and I'm your shield. Whatever comes your way, I will fight the fight for you. And I love that. I am wondering how she's going to tame his feralness and kind of direct him, because, again, she's his PR person and he only wants to work with her directly because, of course, why wouldn't you? So I want to get into this. Like, I am sucked into these two books. Superheroes Need PR, and This Could Be Forever is really capturing my attention. And it's just reminding me that I have some bangers to get through. So I will continue reading on both of these arcs to knock down my Netgalley score and see what else I want to pick up. I'll check in with you soon. Okay, it is time to check in with you. It's been a hot minute since I last gave you an update. I finished This Could Be Forever and All Superheroes Need PR probably early last week, or maybe even the week before. So it may be a little bit of fuzziness trying to get you all caught up to speed. But This Could Be Forever by Ebony Liddell is a certified banger. Not necessarily all the way up there with Love Radio, but very, very close. I think I gave this a 4.75, maybe 4.5. But the latter part of the book was also still really rich and enjoyable. My favorite part was when we got to see our FMC's family. Like, when they went to the family reunion, I felt a kinship. Again, I'm not from the South, but I can see how the family reunion interacting with her daddies and her uncles, and how they're putting the pressure on the young man and really, testing whether or not he would be able to protect her like her fathers and uncles would. I think that was such an integral part of making sure that he could care for our female main character like she needed, because Deja really experiences life different than Raja. And her father knew, hey, if you are going to be with my daughter, you have to understand, I need you to protect her on all sides, just like I would do. Like, I need you to understand that this is my pride and joy. It doesn't matter how many kids I have, because the man had plenty of daughters and he had sons as well. But this one right here, she's going places, and I need you to understand, like, you better come correct. And when he passed it with flying colors, I said, okay, yeah, Raja, like, you have truly understood, like, Deja is going to hold you down, and she needs you to hold her down as well. And I loved how his mother, you know, was showing that I always supported you. I couldn't go against my husband. Like, you, at the end of the day, you gonna be grown and you gonna be on your own, and I still got to deal with this man, and he's, you know, my rock. But at the same time, you my baby boy, and I love you regardless. And I see the value in the young woman that you're bringing in. I loved how she said, you know, if I feed you, I'm showing you that I appreciate you. If I'm supporting your business, then that means I support you. And I was like, okay, mama, come through. Like, women subtly have to influence their, you know, their home and their spouses, and they have to do it with finesse and care. And I just think that this book is going to resonate with so many young people. I think it's going to resonate with the dynamics of a interracial relationship. And usually when people think about interrelationships, they think about just white and black, but there's so many nuances to being an American and coming from, you know, different ethnicities or different races, and how they mix and mingle in today's society. So really enjoyed that. Highly recommend. As far as All Superheroes Need PR, the latter half of that book, actually the action started going, the plot started to think in, and obviously the spice started to kick in. Elizabeth Stevens just has that special touch. When I realized that I knew that this was going to be a series, but I never really thought about the bigger aspects at play when it comes to the heroes and the villains, and how all of these aliens, really, we don't know much about them, and we think that we know them all. But once we got to, I probably say about 70%, and we met, I think his name was 3. There's 3, and then there's 4, and then there's some random numbers. Once they came in and they kidnapped our old girl, I said, oh, it's getting ready to get explosive. And baby, it did. Y'all, just hang in tight. If you're like, I'm looking for the action, it's coming. And when it does, and when the key unlocks, I was like, okay, I see we're going somewhere. It's unfortunate that it took to that part of the book, but it also was creative in the fact that it made you want to read the second book. Like, I don't know who the next characters will be, but she gave us a lot of bite at the end that makes you wonder, okay, well, how long do we have to wait for book 2 in this series? Like, is it ready to go? Is Mount Lake ready to publish now? Because we're ready to read it. We're ready to see who's the next person that gets their storyline. And I'm hoping it is one of the villains. Not necessarily that they could get closer to, you know, world domination. I'm hoping that they become down bad for the woman, just like our Pyro, or what do they call him, Wervin? Just like Wervin was. Like, I'm hoping that they're like, okay, yeah, I see what he was on, and I'm on it too. This one has a breeding kink, which I was not expecting. I knew that there was knotting, but I was like, oh, you went full steam ahead. This story, Elizabeth Stevens said, I'm going to throw literally every particular trope that I can. Like, there was not a trope that I could fathom that I felt like wasn't stuffed in this book. And I said, girl, what we going to do next? Like, this is the perfect mixture of everything Babeinlibrary that I'm just like, Elizabeth, how can you make me love you anymore? Because at this point, this book has solidified your status. So I can't wait to see what she comes out with next. In this particular series, I will tell you, if you have any type of interest in like a superheroes or an alien storyline. You look for comedy. You look for humans being able to come in and kick butt as well, because the thing about our female main character, while she was anxiety ridden, while she had her character flaws, she also said, at the end of the day, I'm gonna save him just like he would save me, and I'm gonna put all my nervousness aside. Now I'm gonna round up my posse and we gonna go full force, because I can't do this alone. And I loved that we got to see her family, really this found family, kind of take over and like surround him. So very, very good addition by Elizabeth Stevens. Currently I am reading 2 more arcs. I have picked up This Side of Beautiful by Ty. I've been calling her TA, but it's Ty. This one is a longer story. This one I picked up because I was still in the mood for a rock star romance that had an addiction storyline. And I still wanted to have like neurodiversity and anxiety representation, and this has all of that put in together. Now this is an interesting situation because our female main character, her name is Janae, she is trying to make her come back into the music industry after having been away for so long. She's 3 years sober, and she is really trying to make amends with the Hollow Bones, which is a band that she was supposed to tour with before she dropped off the face of the earth. Now she's trying to make amends while not apologizing, and I think that that's very, very interesting, because she's saying that she's done the work, she's gone to therapy, she's done what she needed to do, and she's just ready to like be back and, you know, reclaim her pop princess or hip-hop princess status. However, the band is not necessarily going for it. However, she meets Landon, our male main character, who is very quirky, and the fact that I feel like he's neurodiverse. We haven't really talked about what his diagnosis is, but he has a lot of anxiety. He is very to himself, and he doesn't like to be touched. He has a lot of nuances to him, but he finds kinship in Janae, and I think that they develop this bond, and I can't call it a trauma bond because they didn't go through things together, but they both have a deep-rooted past. Now Landon he comes from, you know, music royalty. Now he is in a band, and he's pretty much the genius of the band. He graduated at 16. The boy is musically inclined, but his parents are highfalutin, right? They come from like a classical era in which, you know, Juilliard, think of, you know, music that is opera and classical, whereas he is trying to play in this acoustic sound. And so his parents don't necessarily understand him and always want to put him in a situation where they're dictating his life. And so we already know Janae is not going to be the vibes of his parents. Now, I find it interesting that they are establishing a kinship, but Linda doesn't want to be out in the open, and then Janae, as according to her therapist, is addicted to drama. And it's very interesting because this is giving opposites attract, but on a deeper soul connection level. Now, I personally, I don't hate me when I say this, and I know this is very flawed, and I probably shouldn't say it on the internet, but I don't really care for Janae, right? And it's not necessarily her circumstance, right? Because I just read Salvage My Soul, which I absolutely loved and adored. 5 stars. If you need to pick up a book, check out Antoinette Sherrill, because I really resonated with Remedy, our female main character in that story, and she was an addict. However, it is something about Janae that's just not necessarily clicking with me. However, I do respect her and I do understand her plight, and so that is where I am torn in reading this book. So I'm very interested. Put it in the chat. Have you ever read a book with a character that you didn't necessarily like, but you appreciated the story and you understood that It's less about whether you like and resonate with the character and more about the story that is being taught in the lesson. Like, that's ultimately where I am leading in terms of reading this book and appreciating that I don't have to love every character for me to love the story. So that's where I'm at with this. She is, again, really trying to get the band to come over to her side. She does have a little bit of a I need everybody to like me, I need the world to revolve around me energy, kind of a pick me, but it is understandable because she is searching for love. And so I'm very interested to see how this tour goes. I am also reading The Love Syllabus by Lauren Lacey. Now, The Love Syllabus is a nanny romance with a billionaire who is a professional chef that is in a small town. He has 2 daughters. She is the town favorite, but also kind of like a little bit of a town pariah. Her ex-husband, Corey, no, Corey was somebody else. I don't remember what her ex-husband's name is, but he trash. Very interested to see how that one goes. This is definitely giving the like forbidden taboo. He is a widow, so I am at just about 30% into that one, so I'll come back and give you my thoughts on that as well. But I've got those 2 arcs, and then I think I'm going to close out this video once I finish that. So we'll see where my Netgalley score is. I'm coming back to give you an update. This is many hours later, but the same day. I tried to continue picking up This Side of Beautiful, but I think I might need to DNF it. I'm not sure if it's going to be a soft DNF or a true DNF because I still have about 9 hours left of this audiobook, and I am really finding it challenging to the point where it could put me into a reading slump. I do want to come back and say this. I believe the female main character has mental health disorder. I believe she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and she is not taking her medications. And I think that is partly the reason why I am having such a hard time with her POV and the way that she is portrayed. Granted, this is a really important representation to see it in our books. And I will say I also read another book by Alexandria House that had bipolar representation, and I don't want to misdiagnose. I believe the character stated that in her therapy session for this particular book that she was bipolar and she doesn't want to take her meds. However, I have a fear that this will put me into a reading slump, but I will be continuing on with The Love Syllabus, and because my Netgalley score still needs to improve, I'm going to come back and let you know if there's something else that I read. Maybe Plus Size Player, but that doesn't come out until June, and so I don't know if I'm going to read that next or what I'll be picking up next, but The Love Syllabus will be continued on. Talk to you soon. Hey y'all, I am ready to wrap up this video with The Love Syllabus. I, at this point, am 50-50 on this video. I have the first 2 books in the video I loved. These last 2 books were not necessarily my favorites, but I do want to let you all know this book is perfect for readers who want to start in that forbidden romance genre, that really wants to dip their toe in that trope, but doesn't want to go all the way and get into the taboo relationships, because Carrie and Victor are forbidden in the fact that Carrie works for him. He has hired her to be his nanny, and he is really trying to make sure that he doesn't cross any lines. He's never been romantically interested in anyone since his wife has passed away. And Carrie is the first person that sparks his interest. But unfortunately, it is done under false pretenses. They do a little bit of fake dating. His mother actually kind of conspired to make this happen, and she lies to her parents. So that was a little bit of, an irritation for me, just because you're too old to be lying like this, but we went with it. This book has slow burn. It is pining on both ends. It is very Grump Sunshine. For me, truly, the book really didn't start to take off until really you get to the 60-65% mark. Like, even after the 50% mark, you're thinking things are going to be cooking. You think that, okay, we've reached half of the book, that they're going to be all in. No. And when they did, kick up in terms of their romantic relationship is the same time the drama kicked in. And when I tell you at 68%, that is when this became a completely different book. This is what Lauren Lacey is really good for. She is good for those, tense moments where the two main characters build their connection upon, and it is tied in trauma. So please be mindful. This has DV, so domestic violence. It is on page. There is a lot of trauma that you're unpacking on both ends. You do get to learn about what happened with Victor's father as well as his wife, but it is one of those things like the entire time you pretty much can make the assumption of what happens. It's just very hard as you read it on page as well and get to see why he works and why he's dedicated to his daughters in the way that he is. Again, I feel like going into this book, if you start to see some of the hints that Lauren drops, you automatically know what happened with both characters. And to me, I was just ready to get to that point. I was ready for these two to become vulnerable with one another, to be able to share and grow through that. And it took so long to get to that space. And again, we wanted to be able to blossom and build their relationship. However, for me as a reader, I was just like, okay, let's get to the moment where they are actually together. Like, Victor is reserved in many aspects and he's trying to show Carrie that he wants to be with her, but he does so and then he turns cold immediately. And I'm like, bro, you're grown and she's grown, but y'all are acting like y'all don't understand what to do. Like, stop pushing each other away. Stop pretending, stop faking for other people. Like, be with one another and let's show the girls what love looks like. And granted, the girls was not bothered. That's the one thing I will also say that I love about this book. The girls, Ari and Sid, are the main characters. Like, I love how this has the found family trope where the Carrie's parents pretty much adopt the girls as their grandchildren, and the love that they receive, they are not lacking for love. And there's some touching moments. So if you're looking for single parents where the children are very much involved, this would be the one. For me, like I said, this one has some ties to the world around us. So if you have read that, you will appreciate seeing some of the characters come back here. But all in all, like I said, this isn't a bad book. It just didn't deliver exactly what I wanted it to. And I was a little bit frustrated with the two characters in their romance. But outside of that, I will say I would recommend this book. If I had to give you my order, this could be forever top of this video. Then I would go to All Superheroes Need PR, then to The Love Syllabus, and then rounding it out again, I did DNF, This Side of Beautiful. But tell me, what is the latest new release that you have read in the chat? And if you don't want to do that, leave me a pink heart, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.